Psalm 58. Do you indeed speak righteousness, O people of Yasharel? That's a good point. Do you judge uprightly, O you sons of men? Yes, in your heart you work wickedness. You weigh the violence of your hands in the earth. In other words, your self-righteousness is what he's saying. You are projecting upon Yahuah what you believe is right versus Yahuah projecting upon us. Before you hit the unsubscribe button and run off, you might want to hear the rest of this. For those of you who are tender delicate, you're not prepared for the truth. Although a major crisis is upon us, and I'm talking about vicious major crisis is upon us, you'll still run. Because somehow you think by running away, reality is not going to slap you right in the mouth. Not upside the head, right in the mouth. Head's too hard. They're going to knock your teeth out. Better yet, stump them out. But let me go on. Let's continue on here. Verse 3. The wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they are born, speaking lies. In other words, they don't change. No matter what you say to them, they're not going to respond positive to it. And no matter what they say to you, they're lying. Now, this describes a particular people. And many of you might think I'm talking about the Edomites. No, I'm talking about the wicked, period, including the Edomites. If you want me to get down to where the rubber meets the road, as they say down south, I'm really talking about Israelites. Because this is who the Most High is referencing through David. He's talking to Israel. He's saying, Israel, there wickedness amongst you and your people. And they came out their mama womb misbehaving. And they will hear nothing that you have to say. Although you had better say it anyway. Talking to the leadership. The prophet. The watchman. Cry aloud, spare not. Isaiah 58:1, right? But she will continue here. Say the pausing, they're pausing. It's like the pausing of a serpent. And they are deaf. Like the adder that stops up her ear. Simply meaning is that they have eyes to see, but they're not going to see it. Reality could be, again, smacking them right in the face, brothers and sisters. Many in Yasharel don't want to hear it. They're just, he said they're deaf like an adder. That's another form of saying rebellious. Witchcraft. 1 Samuel 15, right? 1 and 15. 1 Samuel chapter 15, verses 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Y'all know the drill. But we have to refresh. We refresh. This channel is about refreshing. Teaching is repeating till learning has occurred. Exactly why in our weekly Tanakh study we use the title T.I.E, like a necktie. T.I.E. Teach, inform, and educate. Why is that important, you may ask? Because our people are being destroyed for lack of knowledge. That's why it's important. That's why this channel was named appropriately End of Day Messenger. Over a decade ago, Yahuah gave me that name. And now we're fast approaching the end. But these behaviors are a product of the environment that Yasharel finds itself in. The northern and southern kingdom. A hardness of a heart towards the truth. But let me continue on. And that he said, which will not hearken to the voice of charmers. Charmers never so wisely. He said, break their teeth. I guess it was appropriate about knocking teeth out. O Elohim, in their mouth. Break out the great teeth of the young lions, O Yahuah. Meaning these young Israelite sons and daughters among us who reject this truth because they feel that the elders have nothing to offer them. Because they're looking outwardly instead of looking inwardly. See, if they were looking inwardly and looking inside of their heart, they would recognize, wait a minute, I shouldn't be projecting that on everybody. Maybe my mama was a hoe, and maybe my daddy was a hoe-monger. But that don't mean every father and every mother fit that description. But see, when you have like you said, the deaf like an adder, can't hear. refuse to hear, then you're going to listen to your peer group who don't know shit. Or they only know what they know, which is not much. Life experiences matter. And then you become like this young lion is talking about here. You're going to listen to charmers, which will not hearken to the voice of charmers, but charmers never so wisely. In other words, they'll say, well, you know, I don't want to hear what anybody else say. I know everything, but you're just as bad as they are. Let me say that better. You know, we're saying, you know, you don't want to listen to the elders, but you go listen to the Cardi B's and the Meg the Stallions and, you know, that group. Again, this is not an indictment on every young person. You follow this channel, you know how I feel about the righteous youth among us. You know, Brother Willoughby sent me earlier today, and I'm going to get through this, and we're going some places today. Stick around. Young Brother Willoughby sent something to me, emailed me yesterday. He showed me this chart, and it was a depopulation chart. And I'm going to figure out a way, if I can, to, if I have your email, I'll just email it to everybody. If I have your email, I'm going to email you that chart. And that chart clearly describes the population in America for 2025, the head count. Now, as we enter into 2025, to give you something to compare as we continue this reading, we have approximately, I know this is not an exact number, but the number on their census is about 330 million, give or take. Americans. That's all inclusive. That's not counting the illegals, okay? Just on census. There's a population chart. And this chart covers the whole world. Every nation on this earth, it covers. And it's saying by 2025, or the end of 2025, the year that we're in, the population will go from 330 million people down to 100 million. And why some of you may think that's a nothing burger, nothing to see there, well, because you're blind, of course, and you don't want to hear the truth, secondly. But that's a 2/3 reduction in population. And maybe that doesn't matter to you because I know the math. But does it matter to you that Zechariah chapter 13, verse 8 and 9 says the exact same thing? And it calls it an end day at the end of this world as we know it. I've said many times so far, winter is coming. And I wasn't talking about springtime, summertime, fall, and winter. I wasn't talking about that. If you know the movie or the series Game of Thrones, one of the things they emphasized in the Game of Thrones, that series, they were telling the people that winter was coming. Whenever they wanted to reference the Night Walkers, the judgment, the destruction of all the kingdoms, if they didn't come together, they would say winter is coming. So I kindly just borrowed their phrase. Winter is coming. Hallelujah. And winter is going to affect those who are unprepared much more than those who are prepared. And as our people stand, talking about Yasharel, unless you're living in La La Land, you know, Willy the Wonka land, or you're trying to be hyperbolic, hope you know the meaning of that word, you think I'm being hyperbolic, better said, then you should know the most vulnerable people in America are Israelites. We're the poorest, the sickest, the most uneducated, the biggest Christians, which makes you pretty much uneducated, etc. In the face of everything that will be considered abominable, detestable. I'm talking about holistically. I'm not talking about individually. I'm here to keep it from being holistic. I mean, I'm here to keep it from being individual. Let's say it that way. If it was holistic, that means I would be a part of it too. And I'm absolutely not a part of it. And many of you that I know, you're not a part of it as well. You've waken up to it and you've come out of it. Some of you from other parts of this earth, you've come out of it too, from the culture that you were in. Brother Davidson, Flesh of Daisy, Sister Frederica down in South Africa, Sister Sharon Coke up in the United Kingdom, those that come to mind. Then we got some brothers and sisters in Trinidad. I know we have Sister Katrina Nelson. Those guys, if they still are in Hawaii, which might well be in another country, let me tell it. And then there are many of us right here on the so-called continental, North America. But again, our people are being destroyed because of a lack of preparation, and that preparation is due to a lack of knowledge, which is being promoted by a subculture, charmers, who are charming the charmers. Being deceived. The deceivers being deceived. And except you wake up to what's going on and to the reality and get a better understanding, you are going to be taken down, brothers and sisters. And I'm talking about brutally. This thing talking about knocking teeth out of mouth. Not thing, this is what the word is saying. Let's go forward. He said, 6, break their teeth, O Elohim Yahuah, in their mouth. Break out the great teeth of the young lions as well, O Yahuah. Let them melt away as waters which run continually. When he bends his bow to shoot his arrows, let them be cut into pieces. Like a pretty big threat to me. As a snail which melts in the heat. A snail, the little crawling snail. You put sun on that snail, take that shell off, it's going to melt. We used to play with them when I was kids. They didn't last in that heat. Let every one of them pass away. Like an untimely bird of a woman miscarriage, that they may not see the sun. Behold, your pots can feel the thorns. He shall take them away with a whirlwind, both the living and in his wrath. But yet, see, that's the thing I love about the word of Yahuah. There's always hope. Yahuah always have a set aside, brothers and sisters. He said, if that was not so, all of Yasharel would be utterly destroyed. Is that not what Malachi 3 and 6 reminds us of, brothers and sisters? Does not the book of Isaiah chapter 6 and 13 say 1 out of 10 will avoid the desolation, the destruction that's coming upon this earth? And the reason why, because we take it serious. We don't see it as a game. We realize that the teacher, the elder, is not being hyperbolic. You look that word up. Oh, I'll put it in the definition, but I'm not going to go through the extra effort. If you care to know, you'll research it. Right? Let's go, verse 10. The righteous, though, shall rejoice when he sees the vengeance. He shall wash his feet in the blood of the wicked. I know some of y'all didn't see that coming. See, although we have a genuine, healthy reverence for Yahuah in his judgment, but we also recognize, because we're engaging him through his Torah, through believing in the one sovereign King of Yasharel, the creator of everything, then we know that the day of reckoning is coming, and we realize that it doesn't apply to us. So there's a certain level of comfort we have. There's the assurance that no weapon formed against us, again, will prosper. Because what did Isaiah said? This is the righteous reward of the servants of Yahuah. So there's a righteous expectation that we have. Because we are servants. Obedient, contrite, obedient servants who love Yahuah and no other. We don't give a damn about Buddha, Krishna, Kali, Jesus, Yahuah, Yahushua, whatever name you call your demon gods. Go serve them. We have no beef with you. All we ask is that you don't come over here with your ignorance. Book said again, Yahuah's people will be destroyed for the lack of the knowledge. Why? Because they reject this Torah. And this Torah said there's only one sovereign Yahuah, none else. There's one Eluah. Deuteronomy chapter 6. What is that? Verse 4. Him and him alone. So we're going to rejoice when we see his vengeance. And it's coming soon. So hold tight, brothers and sisters. It's going to be a rough ride, but hold tight. And he shall wash the feet in blood of the wicked. Wow. So that a man shall say, truly, there is a reward for the righteous. Truly, he is Yahuah that judges in this earth. Now, before I go any further, I do want to talk about some things that were recently brought to my attention. Again, interestingly enough, by the younger brothers and sisters here in Yasharel. I mean, I'm doing my own research and I'm constantly on guard looking. And I know there's a few mature, lovers of Yahuah. You guys have given me, information, as well. Sister Maria passes information from time to time. Sister Jackson, to name a few. Brother Dennis, all the time. Brother Mendez. And then I hear from different ones. Sister Rusa now is coming into knowledge. Brother Cameron, he brings things to our attention. As I said, the young brother Willoughby, brother Shimquil, Sister Cynthia. There are others out there. Interesting enough, most of the ones that I named are under 30 years old, by the way, brothers and sisters. But then again, it ties back into the vision the elder had. Remember, about almost a year ago now, we're going down that tunnel and then coming out of the tunnel and looking down upon the earth as Yah destroyed this whole earth and asking the question, Yah, where were the older ones? He said they were there, but there's not enough to count. And my curiosity was why? And he said because they're rebellion. They're not going to change. They feel like they're too old to change. That they're set in their ways. In other words, they are pining away. They don't feel like they have anything else to do but just to wait on, Yahuah now, since they transition, from one shiftless religious ideology, and now they brought that same shiftless religious ideology over here. And expect to be accredited because they acknowledge that there's only one sovereign creator, but they don't do the work. It's exactly what Ezekiel was saying, that they love to hear that word, but he said they will not do it. They're not going to put anything into action. We had a saying growing up, if you're going to do it, then put your money where your mouth is. It was another way of saying, hey, don't talk about it, be about it. We don't want to hear what you have to say. We want to see what you do and let that back up what you have to say. Tell us about it after you've done it. We're not interested in those who are trying. We're only interested in those who are doing. Because the reward that this is talking about, the righteous, Yah is talking about here, this is the righteous for those who did it. Not those who are trying to do it, thinking about doing it, are gonna do it. This is not for the woulda, shoulda, coulda group. This is for the group that loves Yahuah, and they are going to be obedient to his Torah, and they're going to engage, and they're going to be active. They're not going to show up here and there and say, I's here, master, I's here. Not calling me master, playing games with Yahuah. I'll be cordial, but I'm not fooled. If your passion is not equal to my passion, then you don't have the passion. Yah's not the respecter of person. He give us roles, some over 1,000, some over, 10. We all know that. But the passion, that's equally applied. When you love Yahuah with all your heart, all your mind, and all your strength, you're always in. You dump everything in. You don't get caught in almost. We don't care nothing about almost. We care about foremost, upfront, present, and accountable. Now let me get into why I'm shifting, and then we're going back to the book. Okay? The reason I'm shifting for a moment, because some of the younger people are, now recognizing what Donald Trump actually meant, or better said, the U.S. government. I think we need to say that correctly. I think putting it on Donald Trump is like putting it, on the automobile that hit the skunk that stinks. The automobile didn't stink, it just ran over a skunk, and the smell of the skunk is on the tire, so now the car stinks. Donald Trump sits in the office. He's just the core. He's the core, C-A-R, but not the core, C-O-R-E. The U.S. government and those who run the U.S. government who've been running the U.S. government, the bankers, the financiers, the religious, the talented tent, the boule, the masons, that group, the secret society folk, skull and bones, them. Bilderbergers, I can go on. EFW, World Economic Forum, those people. It's their ideology about making America great, because when America was great, then America was the tit that fed all the other sub-nations all over the earth, because they had free labor in America. Cheap labor. See, now the cheap labor is in China and in Taiwan and, India and other places around this earth. And see, that doesn't work anymore because of BRICS. Come on, stay with me. I'm talking about BRICS for years. I know you know what is BRICS. Well, the reason you don't know what BRICS is, either you haven't been here long enough or you were here but you were not listening. It's a bloc. It's an economic bloc consisting of many nations now, but it originated with Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. But now you got Egypt a part of it. You have Ethiopia, Saudi Arabia, Argentina was, they may or may not still be, and other countries. Iran. And these countries now have taken possession of their resources and reinvesting in themselves and have protect themselves from the U.S. by getting off of the U.S. dollar for the main, at least they're weaning themselves off of the dollar by not trading their goods for dollars anymore. And now the West is hurting. They're in pain. Because now they can't exploit the whole world through military violence any longer. So they can't, send their, what you would call your thugs, all the military mercenaries. So they can't, they can't send their thugs all over the place anymore, like the Italian gangs and the inner city gangs too. And use, criminal extortion to get their little, piece, their little, how you say, get their beaks. What's the movie called? Mobsters. If y'all saw the old movie, it's not old, but it's probably 20, 25 years old. Mobsters. So I need to get, what is it, the lead mobsters? Just want to get my beak wet. I just want to get a little taste. What he really means, I want to control it all. Well, America no longer can control it all. But to hide it from you, brothers and sisters, they're claiming that it's all about tariffs. It's tariffs. America's been being taken advantage of, lying their ass off. America is an imperialist nation. Now, again, if you don't know the history of this country, then because you chose not to know the history of this country. I mean, you don't remember that your ancestors were enslaved here? If you were in the other countries, y'all were not colonized? If you were so-called people of color? Some non-color too, the Italians and the Irish. They know the story too. But they're honorary whites now, so they kind of play ignorant. Indians too. East Indians I'm talking about. They all become white now all of a sudden. But that's okay. Hey, God has a special, gift to bring them. We just read it. They're going to bathe in their own blood. 2. Hallelujah. But as I pull it back, you start looking at what's going on. These tariffs, the tariffs are just an excuse to justify inflation, brothers and sisters. To put a face on it so that you don't understand what's really going on. To give you hope that it's going to get better. After all, he'll make America great again, because once he puts these tariffs, all this money is going to be coming in. But they're not talking about how the cost of goods are going to go up. Whether you want an automobile, you want a home, whatever it is you need. And then to double down on that, they're not telling you about how they're going to get cheap labor back. Because that's a part of making America great again, too. To get cheap labor, you got to what? You got to get rid of all what we call gainful employment. So in the public sector, they got to attack the public sector, the federal government, for example. That's the public sector. They've got to start to remove all those jobs, eliminate all those jobs, which are going to drive the people to the private sector, which going to cause the people in the private sector to have to reassess how those who work in that environment, how do they stay afloat? Because now when these people lose their job in the public sector, they're going to go to the private sector because they have nothing else. They'll have nothing and be happy. Remember we were talking about that? You'll have nothing and you'll be happy about it. Because once they lose their jobs, and they will be losing these jobs. So for all of you out there who want to fight, against Yahuah, then remember, Yahuah is not a coward. As a matter of fact, he said vengeance is his. He will repay. So Yahuah don't have no problem, rolling up his sleeves. So you want to fight? Bring it. You want to shake your fist at me, Yasharel? You want to turn your nose up at me because you love the heathens' gods and the heathens' ways more than you love me? He said, bring it on. You can listen to those camps, you can listen to those communities, you can listen to the church, you can listen to whoever you want to listen to. Just bring it on. I'll be here. But he said, when I come, I'm coming with that fire. I'm coming with that brimstone. I'm coming in earthquakes. I'm coming in with tsunamis and tornadoes and droughts. I'm coming with war, hunger, diseases. He said, can you top that? So you got all these answers, dude, mister. You got all these answers. Say, can you top this? Oh, you think running into the mountains is going to save you? I'll meet you there. What did David say? If you go to the Lord, depth of earth, Yah's day. He said, if I go to the highest heights of the skies or the heavens, you're there. He said, if I go to the east or to the west, you're there as well. But y'all said, come on, bring it on. Bring it on, Yasharel. Bring it on, America. Bring it on, heathens, in and outside of Yasharel. Y'all say, I'm ready. I hope you are. He put that responsibility on the righteous among us to warn us. To encourage some of us, but the rest, just so, y'all say, I don't expect you to change. I just don't want you to say you didn't know. So young people, again, when you hear mega, and you're trying to figure out what that is, I'm going to take a little time, and I'm going to break it down, then we're going to go back to the book. Now, mega means make America great again. The question you should be asking, how did America, and since they're talking about United States of America, how did America become great? You start there. What made America an exceptional nation? What made it so exceptional? How did it come from colonies to a superpower in less than 300 years? What happened? Well, can you say slavery? Can you say Jim Crow? Can you say exploitation of the poor by the rich? Can you say wars all over this earth to steal natural resources from off every country on this earth? And I do mean every continent. Country in every continent on this earth. Why do you think USA was giving a little money all over the place? It became great through exploitation, criminality, and flat out murder and mayhem. But in the center of all of that, it all rooted right here on this soil where your parents, if you're Israelite, blood was shed through free labor and economic exploitation called Jim Crow. So you didn't have to be a slave. Maybe your parents were never slaves. Maybe you were Northerners. Maybe you came later. But you were definitely, free men of color. Constitution talks about you. We talked about that before. What? Article 1, Section 2. 2/3 of a man, except all persons being free and Indians, not taxed. The laws were not applying to you. Constitutional laws. There was no really true representation for you. Because you were seen as a commodity. Your ancestors, and you're a byproduct of being a commodity. And you will never not be a commodity or one that is being exploited, except your mind wake up and you turn back to your sovereign Yahuah, the Elohim, Almighty of Yasharel. But many of you are not going to do that. You don't, feel like it's worth the effort. Or better yet, you'd rather just be, over there with the masses and just say, you know what, nah, Jesus gonna fix this. Just like he fixed, the situation when they were telling me to go get vaccinated. How you feeling now about your fixation? But then again, hey, some of you probably don't even care anyway, right? But for those of you who care, and for those of you who may be curious, not caring, but you're curious, Make America Great is about the enslavement of Americans, then later on, the Jim Crowing of America. Putting in laws that were specifically in place to exploit your people to the advantage of the middle class, or what I just say, the wealthy class. And for the wealthy class to survive, they had to drop some crumbs down to the white trash amongst them, middle class. And then the middle class drops them down to the trailer trash, the scum of the earth amongst them. So that way they were in alignment. So they had the Ku Klux Klan, the White Citizens Council, And you had your government officials, the police, of course, the original slave catchers. All of them working in conjunction to keep you under exploitation. They won't admit it. They're really trying to wash it away. And so when you hear Trump talking about not funding these jobs, it's going to force most of our people back into a more or less of a, sharecropper class? Indentured servitude kind of class? Classism? Economic? The bottom of the scale, bottom of the barrel? Which are going to force you into labor markets where you're going to be underpaid and overworked, threatened, violated, and in some cases, beheaded, better said, if you don't cooperate. All of these FEMA camps that were put in place all over this country that are empty, you think they invested all that money under the Obama administration, the Bush administration, the Trump, Biden, not Trump? You think all that was for nothing? You think the depopulation is for no reason? The cutting of all these services, brothers and sisters, about making America great again, meaning in some cases because they're going to create, a servant class, not a middle class, a servant class. And then the rest of you, just unalive you. I know you don't want to hear me say it, but they're going to unalive you, your wife, your husband, and your children. Everything that you love. You don't believe me? Go to 1 Maccabees and read about what happened in 1 Maccabees chapter 1, chapter 2. And then go over to 2 Maccabees and read about what happened in chapter 7 and chapter 6, chapter 7, and chapter 10. If you think that somehow or another a hostile government, will not cut your fingers off to persuade you to do as you told and not as you think. And Jesus didn't save them. He ain't saving you. He didn't save the civil rights workers who were slaughtered and killed. And many others too, I might add. But I'll digress into that. So when you look at Make America Great Again, you're talking about Jim Crow. You're talking about eliminating any programs that are pro what we would call Israelites. Used to be called blacks, Negroes, African Americans, bywords and proverbs for names. Deuteronomy 28:37 said that would happen to people who rejected Yahuah's Torah. Have you rejected his Torah? How do you like your identity? How you like that's what I was saying, how you like yourself now? Oh, you good? Give it a minute. Give it a minute. That little dog and cat that you love so much, it's going to die. They have the dog life and cat life pretty short. You know that, right? Who going to lick on you then when they go? Still don't think you need a man, right, sisters? You know, that select few of you. Or maybe more than a select few. We'll see. According to this book, you're going to change your mind. If I had a dime for every sister that said, I don't need no man, I'd be a millionaire right now. Wouldn't I be, brothers and sisters? Some of y'all would be too. But just because that's what they say, that don't mean that's how it's going to play out. Tomorrow will come. And they already painted a picture. Economically, it's done. Eliminating all these jobs because you ain't gonna be here. They're gonna depopulate you, so they don't need. Why would they worry about employing you, a few years from now when there won't be no you? It's gonna be related to judgment. I know you think it's Trump and the government. I know that's what you think your problem is. No, your problem is rebellion against Yahuah, brothers and sisters. And we don't have your problem because we're not in rebellion, some of us. No matter if we're working hard and fast to be totally obedient to this Torah and serving one Elohim Yahuah, and we don't give a damn about your Jesus, your Yahuah, whatever name you call him. Like we said. Hit the road, Jack. Don't you come back no more, no more, no more, no more. Hit the road, Jack. Don't you come back no more. We're not looking for you. These messages are not for you. These messages is for those who are undecided and those who are in the truth. They encourage you and maybe give you some information to influence you. But it's not to recruit anybody. Atheist, hey. Book has a little story about you. You can read it in the book of Psalms chapter 14. I'll leave it right there. Figure it out. Chapter 1, okay? Verse 1, chapter 14, verse 1. So when you start to hear about Make America Great Again, young, some of you older ones, it's all about destroying any kind of programs that will be what you would call lifting up the so-called disadvantaged, which is another code word for, blacks, Israelites. So they're going to eliminate all those programs. And someone was talking about, I can't believe they're going to unfund, the museum, the Black History museums. I said, I don't know why. I don't know why you can't believe it. Well, then I know why you can't believe it, because you don't know the history of Jim Crow. I'm going to help you, though. Stick around for a moment. Watch. But anything that's proof positive to encourage you and at the same time let you see what they have done, that was a root cause of the condition that we find ourselves in, outside of the rebellious part. The rebellion is the main reason, but there is some other, the rebellion let me say it a better way. Because of our rebellion towards Yahuah let our enemies exploit us, take advantage of us, enslave us, Jim Crow us, colonize us, sell us, human traffic us, stealing of our organs. The new stealing now is skin. Did y'all know about that? Human trafficking now, the number one thing in human trafficking is they're taking you for your skin. You say melanin? No, your skin. Yes, brothers and sisters, skin. Well, why would they want the skin, elder? Skin grafts. All these fires and stuff that's breaking up. Plus they know the fire is coming. Again, go read Zechariah chapter 13. Go read chapter 14. Go read chapter 14, verse 13. See, they read the Torah. They read the Tanakh, even though you were told not to read it, Yahshua. They are reading it. And then there are all these fires, especially the nuclear fire that's coming. Joel said that the sun will be turned to darkness and the moon to blood, right? That's Joel chapter 2 and chapter 3. So that means what? When their skin starts to melt and that sun starts to melt them, or this cancer starts, they're going to need skin grafts. And what better skin is the melanin that you're in? Yasharel. Oh, I told you we're teaching, farm, and educate here. I told you, I'm not your dummy. I'm not that ignorant pastor of yours. See, that's what happens when you become hyperbolic. You start conflating things. I'm not him. I'm not them. I'm DFG. Me. Exclusively. You know different than Moses and Joshua, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Samuel. I'm on a purpose. I'm on a mission. I'm fulfilling Yah's purpose. This man is doing as those men, singular, did it in their time. And many rebelled against them, and many rebelled against me. Many will say, who says that? That's your opinion. And I'll remind you, yeah, you can read about that in Joshua chapter 80. When the Yasharites who were there, Yisrael who was there, told Moses and Aaron, I know I see all these wonders going on, all these things that are, this judgment happened, but how do we know that Yahuah told y'all to lead us out, although all the evidence was there? And y'all said, okay, don't worry about it, Moses, don't worry about it, Aaron. There's going to be 3 nights of debt running around here, and it ain't going to be Egyptian debt. Yashariel, again, Joshua chapter 80, read it for yourself. So when you come, with all of your infinite wisdom, your charmings, your sly talk, your slick talk, everything. Like one of my dear sisters said, she got accused of, I don't know if she meant it righteously, like she was probably kind of telling the truth, but at the same time recognizing she has the opportunity for, to fix that part of her life. Smarty pants. You know everything. But the problem with knowing everything, you don't know what you don't know. Or then again, if you don't know what you don't know, I guess a better way to say it, you don't know everything. That's why the book said, with all you're getting, get an understanding. Knowledge is the principal thing, but all you're getting, get an understanding. Does it not say that in Proverbs? Does not David say in Psalm 71, I will put my trust in Yahuah so that I be what, not confounded? Hallelujah. So Jim Crow is about a history of segregation, a history of oppression, in particular here in America. These were laws put in place to make sure that Israelites never came out of the servant class. And if there was any attempt, they would do anything within their power to destroy those who were leading those attempts. And when I say destroy, I'm talking about murder. It didn't matter if they were women or men. It did not matter. Only ones who would survive the Harriet Tubman because they were compromised, if she ever did what they claimed she did. But the true warriors, no sir. Nat Turners, Gabriel Prospers, Denmark Vinci, Oh no. They were stopped right in their tracks. As soon as they found out, as soon as them wicked Israelites among them went and ratted them out, told on them. That's all it means. Gatekeepers, the ones who right around us now, watching every little thing that we do and going back and telling Master. You think they're not watching this channel? Please. That's why it's censored. That's why it's monitored. That's why when I ask you to thumb it up and share it, and many of you won't do it regardless of what I ask. I even say that maybe Yahuah would bless you if you did. At least he would remember, write it down, you thumbing it up and sharing it. You still won't do it. If you don't believe me, brothers and sisters, just go look at the last several videos. Look how many people viewed it and look how many people thumbed it up. So don't accuse me of being hyperbolic. But the thing about the truth, it always come back to haunt your ass. You say, I thought it bless you. No, it come back to haunt you when you reject it. So when you see them dismantling the jobs and all these different things, they're just getting that servant class now down back to a place where they can get you back in them FEMA camps, and you're going to work out there in them cotton fields again. You're going to make America great again. If you want to eat and survive. But I thought you said Yahuah going to come. He's coming. But he said going to be some trials and tribulations you're going to go through first. Doesn't it say that? Much suffering. Eating your own children. Plagues, diseases. Eating your skin. Eating your body inside out. Then he say all that had to happen. You will be oppressed. All the nations confederate against you will come to wipe you out then. and only then. Because that's going to be a sifting. You know what a sifting is? Like a sifter. You know, it's going to, all of the stuff that's not pure, all of those who don't love you, who with all their heart, all their mind and strength, or who have compromised with the other gods, the heathen gods, all of those 144,000 idiots and mark of the beast, dumb bunnies and rapture fools. I'm just going to call you what it is, because it is foolishness. All this stuff, he's going to sift all that out. And then that fine gold, that's his gold, his treasure, that's where we're going to be left. But we're going to be a part of the sifting. We're just going to be protected in it. But all these things are going to happen. I can get into the guillotines that were purchased, some years back and everything else, brothers. But the long and the short of it, they're eliminating all of these jobs, all of these public service jobs, and then they're going to hit the private sector, and then they're going to hit the private sector very, very hard. And then what's going to happen is now they're going to be infighting going on in the private sector for who you can get the cheapest. And like musical chairs, whoever's left out, you're out of the game. 9/10 according to the book. But you will play the game. Or you can wake up. But what else I want to share? I wrote these things down, brothers and sisters. This is how helpful I intend to be. Now, we'll talk about some things tomorrow night and tonight, but we're going to be in the book of Enoch tomorrow night. So we're going to be shifting a little bit. We need to talk about some other things going on, this, the demonic forces, that part. Okay? Right now we're talking about the natural forces. Yeah, demonic led, but still natural. The ones, we're going to talk about supernatural tomorrow. Right now we're going to talk about tangible. So we talk about black history, being unfunded, all those museums and stuff. We talk about depopulation, talk about bricks. Oh yeah, and Jim Crow. So it looked like I hit all four of them. What Maga is all about. Maga is about destroying any kind of history that points the finger at your oppressors, and at the same time destroying any kind of history that makes you feel a sense of self-worth. But see, that's the results and the consequences of using man's history to establish yourself or trying to find yourself versus using your own history, Yahshua, which is in this Torah. And this is why I emphasize it. Because see, if you were in this Torah, you wouldn't give a damn about no black history museums. You wouldn't give a damn about their monuments that they put up to celebrate their own vicious and wickedness, from George Washington, slaveholder, to Robert E. Lee, slaveholder. And many others, I might add. But see, when you don't know who you are, then you are who people say you are. See, this book gives us our identity back. This awakening brings our identity forefront, back up close and personal. See, this is prophecy being fulfilled. The wise will understand, as Daniel said it. But he said, but the wicked among them, they said, no, they're going to keep on doing what they're doing and not understand it. So therefore, just, hey, do your job, Daniel, and then go it on. Die and lay with the fathers to the resurrection. Y'all doesn't change saying the same thing to me and others like unto me. Saying, do your job, and when I'm done with you, your reward will await you. And I'm not the only one. 9/10. Not all of us are going to lead and teach. Many of us are going to support and follow. A part of your ministry or helping the ministry is that. I'll give you an example. Brother Benjamin, Sister Miranda, Brother Cameron, Sister Keith, Sister Martinez, thank you very much, and Sister Jackson and Sister Maria. So that's a part of the ministry too, or the work. We talked about it in Torah. What Torah said on the backup channel, saying your day of necessity, y'all say, I'm going to come back, I'm going to remember everything that you did. In other words, your needs will be fulfilled. Doesn't matter how little you give. If you have little, he said you give little. You have a lot, give a lot. But remember, brothers and sisters, don't get caught up in that snare of everybody's trying to take advantage of you. You're not everybody. That's like saying all men are whoremongers and all women are whores. No, they're not. I don't care what you were told. You can put your money in bags with holes in it, or you can plant good seed. You decide that. And how do you measure it? Look at the work they're doing. It's easy. What are they teaching? What is their commitment level? What does it look like? Like Brother Keith always, when he sends an offering, he always reminds me for Yah's work. So what he puts in it for Yah's work. Brother Cameron, he began, no, same thing. My alms and my tithes is what Brother Cameron says it. And whatever your reasoning or the way you apply it, or just long, if your heart is for right, it's for right. It is what it is. Hallelujah. But never think that Yah is not going to reward you for it. That's a lie. Yah is the Elohim of equity. Sometimes Yah challenges you to see what you're going to do before he does any more for you. But again, what is Maga about, young people? Black history, unfunding, of course. Even in the schools, that's why they're talking about state rights for the schools. So they're not going to teach you how you talk critical race history. They're going to eliminate that. They're just going to teach you their version of history, like they were doing up until, the mid-50s. Brown versus the Board of Education kind of started to untwine some of that. They had a lot more to do, still doing a lot more. Again, the wicked are estranged from the womb, go about lying. Yeah, it's talking about Yasharel, but it does not exclude the rest of the nations. Their history is a lying history that elevates them to marginalize you, me, brothers and sisters. And my job as a man is to fight back. Your job as men to stand with me and help me fight back. Your job as a daughter is exactly the same thing. Not sit on the sideline doing nothing, but accusing us of being brutish and harsh and whatever you want to call us, profane, perverted. All that because we're standing for this truth. The very man you say you don't have, here we are, and there you are. Again, these dogs and cats gonna die. And boy, I'm gonna tell you something. If you're in your 40s, just for shits and giggles, what if Yah just said, I'm gonna wait 20 more years? Boy, you know what kind of situation you're gonna be by the time you get to my age? If that's what your hope is, and your cat and your dog, oh my goodness, it's going to be a sad sight to behold. And no Elohim Yahuah, because he ain't going to support you if you don't stand for this Torah. Jesus ain't going to do a damn thing. Jesus has never did it. But you believe what you want to believe, but you wait and see. Go look around your church. Tell me you don't see a bunch of old women walking around there. By themselves, I might add. They look pretty happy to you? Oh yeah, they jumping up and down in church and singing and playing hitting their tambourines. And they walk their little sad asses right out there to the medicine cabinet, and they sit there at home and watch TV, watch The View, and talk about how bad Donald Trump is and how wicked everybody is until it's time to go back to church again. That's about it. Hoping their Medicaid don't get cut off, hoping the food stamps don't dry up. But it's going to get cut off. And yeah, the food stamps are going to be taken away too. Oh, subsidized housing too. But there'll always be a FEMA camp or a cemetery. Difference without a distinction, let me tell it. But there's always that third option. Coming, repenting, turning back to Yahuah. But anyway, Black History Month, anything that's related to that, they're taken away. Again, I already talked about the depopulation report. I'm going to figure out a way. If I have your email, I'll send that to you this afternoon. BRICS, that's what the terrorists are about. The terrorists is about these other countries are not going to trade with the United States unless the United States goes on a gold standard and pay them in gold. And the United States don't have no gold. Now, you know some people that might have some, but go try to buy a loaf of bread with it, see what's going to happen. So all this terror stuff is just bluff. It's just talking. It wasn't the product wasn't coming anyway, but they're going to use the tariffs as the reason why resources are drying up in America. You get it, brothers and sisters? I know it's a little complicated, but try. And I don't mean that to disrespect your intellect. I'm just saying, try to figure out what I'm saying here. That's the cover story. So that's the lie they're going to tell. It's all about the tariffs. Suck it up, brothers and sisters. Suck it up, America. We're going to be great one day. Trump said, we're going to all be rich again. We're going to all have a lot of money. Lying his ass off. Talking about not, Brother Mendez a while back said Trump said he's going to be the last president. Go look at Trump saying he's going to run for a third term. Constitution said you only get 2. Trump said, well, we'll see about that. But y'all thought we were trying to, be hyperbolic. Now you see it manifest. But we talked about the disease and, SETAG, spelled backwards. Or that's spelled backwards, spelled in front. Did not he talk about the plagues that are coming? And they're going to need more powerful inoculation programs, if you know what I'm saying. Because what's coming is going to be way worse than what you just went through. And 23andMe, you told them all about yourself. So if Yahuah is not protecting you and putting his fence around you, as he said he would if you keep his Torah, you're contrite, you obey these commandments, you follow the leadership, as they are led by Yahuah, he said, I'll protect you from all of that. What did Proverbs 30:5 say? The word of Yahuah is like a shield around those who obey it. But just for the Jim Crow, for us bricks, and let's get Jim Crow. I want to read to you, brothers and sisters, a little bit about what Jim Crow is all about, some of the Jim Crow laws. Will you guys tolerate me for that a little bit? I was going to go to another book, and we were going to go to the book of Barak, but I guess that's going to be for later on in this week. I think we probably need to stay right here, right now. Hallelujah. Tomorrow we're going to be in the book of Enoch, as I stated already. But look at this, brother. This is Jim Crow laws. Okay, here's how it reads. Jim Crow were state and local laws enacted. Now we're talking about Maga. This is what America feels like it needs to do to be great again. So I want to be clear here. Okay? Israel, I want to be crystal clear. This is what they mean. Because many of you don't know what that means. You know what Maga means, make America great again. No. What is their idea of greatness or great America? This is what it looks like to them. So this is what's coming. So all right? Jim Crow laws were state and local laws enacted in the southern and some border states of the United States, mandating racial segregation and discrimination against African Americans, impacting various aspects of life from schools to public facilities to transportation and to employment. So all you DEI deniers, you don't need it, we'll see. They were discriminating against you before you had it and you got it and kind of backed off a little bit and you told them you don't want it no more, some. Well, welcome to Make America Great Again. Let's go. Here is a more detailed list of Jim Crow laws and their impact. The areas of segregation and discrimination. Okay. Education. It's all under heading. Separate schools for black and white children were mandated. Black schools often receive significantly less funding and resources than white schools. There go your funding of your Black History museums. That was employment. Education. Separate school for black and white children were mandated. I'm repeating myself. Public facilities. Segregated restrooms, water fountains, and other public amenities were common. White only and colored signs were ambiguous, enforcing racial segregation. So if you went and drank out of one of those faucets, you went to jail. And you went to the penitentiary. Okay, let's go now. Transportation. I just gave you public facilities. Transportation. Again, I'm going to put this I will copy and paste and pin it on this message. So if you waited this long, look what you're getting in return. Hallelujah. And by the way, those people I mentioned, I think I said it because I want to just thank those guys. I'm talking about the ones I mentioned as far as their heart against support. I think I did say that, but hey, I didn't want to miss that. That's for everybody who does, but because you really, really appreciate it. You are helping. Let's go on. Transportation. Separate waiting rooms and seating areas on trains and buses were required. Black passengers were often forced to sit at the back of streetcars or stand if the whites were seated. Recreation and entertainment. Segregated theaters, libraries, and other entertainment venues were common. Black people were often denied access to public parks, beaches, and swimming pools. Okay, let's go to employment again. Black people were often regulated to lower paying jobs, denied opportunities in white-dominated industries. Some businesses and workplaces required segregated facilities for black and white employees. Voting rights. Jim Crow laws were used to disenfranchise black voters through measures like poll taxes, means that you had to pay to vote. You had to literally charge you a fee, and they made sure that fee was higher than you could afford. Literacy tests, most of our people couldn't read or write, so they would say if you can't read or write, and they would give you all these questions, these multiple choice questions, and if you didn't answer all of them right, then you weren't allowed to vote. That's a literacy test. And then intimidation tactics. That's when they used the Klan and say, if you try to go into this vote place, we're going to kill you. What they did. Civil rights workers, 1965. Go look it up. Chanin, Goodwin, and Swarner. Look it up. Chanin, Goodwin, Swarner. This is why you need the elders, brothers and sisters, bring these things up. They were hoping that many of us will be dead or shiftless or brain dead and not care about you. But they missed one. Because y'all protected this one for this time. Hallelujah. Let's go on. Praise Yahuah. Social interaction. Interracial marriage was prohibited in many states. A practice known as segregation. Can't pronounce that word. Segregation laws. It's spelled Miscegenation. Again, interracial marriage was prohibited in many states, a practice known as anti-miscegenation. Miscegenation. Social activities and interaction between blacks and whites people were severely restricted. Here's some other examples. In some states, it was illegal for black and white people to play cards, dominoes, checkers, pool, football, baseball, basketball, or golf together. In some states, it was unlawful to chain together white and black convicts or allow them to sleep together. Convicts. Goodness gracious. In some states, it was unlawful for colored people to frequent any park owned or maintained by the city for the benefit, use, or enjoyment of white people, even though you were paying taxes. Key concepts and timeline. The post-Reconstruction era means after the Reconstruction, after slavery. Jim Crow laws emerged in the late 19th and early 20th century. That's the late 1800s and the 1900s. Followed the end of Reconstruction and the withdrawal of federal troops from the South, as I told you. Separate but equal. We talked about that already. Ferguson versus Duplessis. Jim Crow laws emerged in the late 19th, 20th century following, I said that already. Separate but equal to Supreme Court ruling Plessy versus Ferguson. This is 1896. I mentioned that. Established separate but equal doctrine, which allows segregation as long as facilities were supposedly equal, which they often were not. The Civil Rights Movement. Jim Crow area ended with the Civil Rights Movement of the 1950s and 60s. That's why I say they're going to roll it back to pre-1950s and 60s. This is what Make America Great Again looks like to white people. At least most white people. The ones you think love you and friends with you. Which allowed for segregation. That's why they're not saying anything about it. Why they voted for Trump. And you dumb Israelites, you all should be taken out back and shot. Not literally, but you blah 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 blah, talking like Charlie Brown. You just said the same thing. Blah 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 blah. I didn't say it, did I? I just said blah 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 blah. Take them out back and one more. All right. Jim Crow era ended with the Civil Rights Movement in the 1950s, which challenged segregation and discrimination, protests, lawsuits, and legislative actions. Okay? Come on. Hallelujah. Brown versus the Board of Education. In 1954, the Supreme Court, you all know this already if you've been following this channel, decision, and Brown versus the Board of Education declared that state-sponsored segregation in public schools is unconstitutional, marking a major blow to the Jim Crow system. But now they're going back to state rights, disbanding the Board of Education, and now they're going back to states running the education, which means state rights, which means they will not be teaching your children anything about themselves. So say goodbye to so-called black history. Which, who gives a shit? You have biblical history. Come over here. We'll teach you your true history. Hallelujah. So don't panic. Just come on over here. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. If we were considered citizens in the 14th and the 15th Amendment, then you tell me why 100 years later they still had to have Civil Rights and Voting Rights Act. Because the 14th Amendment was the right to vote, and the 15th Amendment, I think, was the they could not discriminate you for any kind of public services. Matter of fact, let's see what that is. We don't have to misquote it. Hallelujah, brother. Let's go right to the book. Let's go right to the source. Okay. 14th Amendment was all persons born and naturalized in the United States are subject to the jurisdiction thereof, and citizens of the United States in the states wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or the immunities of the citizens of the United States, nor should any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of the law, nor deny any person within the jurisdiction of equal protection of the laws. Well, we know that didn't happen. That's why they had to have the civil rights. And let's go to the 15th Amendment. The right of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of race, color, and previous condition of servitude. Oh, so why do we need the Voting Rights Act of 1965? Oh, by the way, the right to vote was established in 1869 for all citizens, and citizenship was in 1866. So as I stated earlier, 100 years later, we were still being disenfranchised. And that's what made America great. Because they didn't change a goddamn thing. They kept us in subjugation, through segregation. And other laws. And this is what's coming again. And who they use to enforce these laws? Can you say your police? Can you say the legislative branch of government? The judges, the lawyers, the executive branch? Just so you know. Oh, and if you had a problem with that, well, you had the legislative branch, you had the judicial branch, that's your Congress, and that's your judges, and then you had your executive branch, well, that's Trump. That's your three branches of government. Now, you tell me what the teachers are who are teaching this and tying it back into biblical history, tying it back into judgment, tying it back into the oppression, but also tying it back into what? The restoration of our people. Come on. Psalm 58. Do you indeed speak righteousness, O people? Do you judge uprightly, you sons of men? Yes, in your heart you work wickedness. You accept violence and use your hands for violence in this earth, because that's what it's saying here. The wicked, from the time they are born, they go astray. As they be born, they lie. Their poison words is like the poison of a serpent, and they are deaf, other rebellious. That stops up the ear. They close their ears. They don't want to hear the truth. Like many in Yahuah. They don't want to hear what I'm saying. Verse 5. Which will not listen to the voice of charmers. Charmers never so wisely. So somebody's saying it's like an oxymoron there, brother. It's confusing, but it really isn't. Said Yah will break their teeth, O Elohim, Yahuah, in their mouth, and break out the great teeth in the young lions. These are all these people who are running off at the mouth. Yahuah. Think they know, but don't. The rebellious among us. Let them melt away as the waters which run continually, which bends its bow to shoot his arrows. Let them be cut into pieces. Talking war talk. As a snail which melts, let every one of them pass away, like the untimely birth or miscarriage of a woman, that they may not see the sun. Before your pots can feel the thorns, he shall make them away as with a whirlwind, both living and in his wrath. It's talking about mass desolation, mass destruction upon this earth. 10. The righteous, hallelujah, That's us. Come on home. The righteous shall rejoice when he sees this vengeance. He shall wash his feet in the blood of the wicked. So that a man shall say, truly, there is a reward for the righteous. Truly, he is Yahuah that will soon judge this earth. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. I hope you found this educational. I hope you thumb it up. Maybe you will this time. If you're new to the channel, there are 2 channels. There's a backup channel, a DFG King Coming Soon. But I hope you subscribe to this channel, to both. For information, teach, inform, and educate. To turning away from the judgment. To being protected. As a matter of fact, can we read this before we go? Let's go a couple of chapters over. One chapter, one book over. To the book of Proverbs. And this is very important, so I figured better. I read. I feel inspired, led by Yahuah to read this. The book of Proverbs, chapter 30, verse 5. Every word of Yahuah is pure. Yahuah is a shield to them that put their trust in him. Add not unto these words no New Testament, no other books, lest he reprove you, and you're going to be found out to be a liar. Deuteronomy 4:2 says the same thing, and guess what? Sirach chapter 42 and 21 says the thing. Ecclesiastes. Let's go there real quick. We talked about Deuteronomy 4:2 on day before yesterday on the backup channel. So if you can go over there and hear that if you choose to want to know before we discuss there. But look what Sirach, Ecclesiastes 42 and 21 says. Sirach chapter 42 verse 21. He has garnished the excellent works of his wisdom. In other words, Yah said, I'm going to polish the work of the wise. He is from everlasting to everlasting, talking about Yahuah. And unto him may nothing be added, neither can he be diminished. And therefore he has no need of any counselors. He's sovereign. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Praise Yahuah. Again, thumb up the message, share it. Don't forget, tomorrow night we'll be together talking about the book of Enoch, something in the book of Enoch. And I think you're going to find it very interesting. I'm not, forgot the word, I'm not trying to tell you that to get you there. I'm just telling you want to know, then you will know tomorrow. You'll know a lot more about, Aziel and some of the stuff going on. He said, who is Aziel? That's why you want to be with us. Who is their progeny? Where did he come from? Where he's going? What is he up to right now these days? All right? There you have it, brothers and sisters. Share the message. Thumb it up. Thank you again for all of you who stand with your brother, your elder, your watchman, this prophet, and all of the good that you're doing to help promote this work and, celebrate this work by telling everybody about it and standing strong in Yah's word and truth. Daughters of Zion, I love you. But I'm telling you, dogs and cats ain't going to fix it for you. Better get it right now while you can. And men of Zion, guess what? The bros ain't going to fix it. You're either with the men of Yahuah or you by yourself. And trust me, you don't want to be caught by yourself in the deep darkness that's coming. Shalom, Yasharel. Elder DFG.